I called them Nick.
Same letter. Yeah, so I am currently the studio manager here at Ceramica, but in about a month we will transition to a new studio, Carolina Clay Studio, which will be the first opening here starting October 1st, and in the next few months we'll be moving across the narrow parking lot into Lot B, where we will have a teaching and members studio. So we'll get to expand a little bit. We'll have a dedicated hand building space, dedicated wheel room, and some residency spots. So I'm very excited. We've already filled up our membership, which is really wonderful. But I am looking for experienced teachers to join the team. So if anybody is interested in teaching or knows a great teacher they can recommend, I would absolutely love that. You can email me at nate@carolinaclaystudio.com, or you can go on Ceramica's website and email me through there. Okay, so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give some demos on some of the wonderful new items that Ceramica has to offer. So first, it's going to be the wonderful bat lifter. So this is a new bat system. It is One Tree Artworks, so it's very cool because it has two different sizes of bats that can fit in. So we've got this smaller insert for the smaller bats, and then we have larger bats that can fit in there. These are great MDF, so they can absorb water nicely. They're great for production work. You can slide them in and out with ease and keep working without having to get up from the wheel. All right. So it fits on just like a normal bat. We can put the insert in, and then we can put the smaller bat in there as well. So we're going to do a few demonstrations. They have a lot of tools they want me to show off. Okay. I find this is best with a little bit of moisture to help it adhere nicely.
Hey Nate, could you give Francis just a couple of minutes to say a couple of words about what he's got going on?
All right.
Get started with the demo?
Of course. Yeah, not a problem. Francis, come on up.
So, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Francis Lamberti. I'm new to this community. I recently stumbled across a wood-fired kiln in Sanford, and I'm in the process of renovating it and preparing it for use as a community resource. The kiln is located at 4718 Carbenton Road. It's about 42 miles away from here. I'm at the stage now of trying to gather wood and complete some of the brickwork. Any assistance or expertise that's available would be very welcome.
Do you have a contact email?
Yeah, it's fvlamberti@gmail.com.
BERTY?
TI.
Yeah.
It's at Old Gilliam Mill, if any of you guys are familiar with that. The Old Gilliam Mill kiln. Thank you. Thank you, Francis. I appreciate that. Thank you, Nate, for the interaction.
Yeah, no. I love interruptions. Feel free to shout out, ask questions in the middle. Favorite colors, yellow. Okay, so let's start out. So we have these drawing ribs from Mud Tools. They've got a lot of different textures. They have a lot of different sides, a lot of surfaces. So there's a ton of ways we can use these tools. There's a few options available. These are just two. Probably the most classic, and I think what they intended them for, is kind of that I've seen it a lot on edges work. You do that design kind of on the rim of a bowl, so you can float a lot, create a lot of nice texture with minimal effort. So what I'm going to do is create a nice vessel with some thick walls. I am going to kind of do these vertical carvings on the exterior, and then we're going to stretch it out, and it creates a nice texture. It's an easy way to create intrigue on your vessel.
Just pass it. Anybody wants it? Please take it. Anyone? Does somebody want it? I'm done.
Is anyone doing anything nice for them this summer? Going to Emerald Isle for the first time. Is it? Oh, good.
Good family vacation.
Oh, good. Quiet?
Well, depends on how quiet. Now it might be.
Yeah. That's what I was
Give
thinking.
it a week or two.
In a week or two?
Yeah, it'll be quiet.
You're right.
No, thanks.
So I'm just making a pretty standard cylinder. I'm going to collar off to show one of our throwing sticks as well. So I didn't start using throwing sticks until recently, but I find they are really, really nice at getting some width without having to get some extreme collaring at the end. If we widen out, you know, the mouth is going to get very wide, and then collaring back in, we can run into all sorts of issues. So this is a nice way to save some time. Okay, so we make a nice thick vessel. I'm going to take one of these tools, and as you can see, there's a lot of different options. I'm going to use a little bit more extreme. So I'm just going to create these vertical scores all over the pot. They don't need to be even. I'm going to come back in, fill it in with a more narrow tooth, more fine tooth. Create some variety on the surface. Then we can come in with our throwing stick and start to stretch out that interior. So this is great, like I said, when we have a little bit more narrow of a mouth after we collar and we're trying to get some width, trying to be a little bit more efficient with our clay. And we can see already that starts to get really nice. We can expand out that texture. This works great with sodium silicate. Crackle slips, anything where you want to really stretch that texture, make it look a little bit more natural. All right, I'm going to color that in a little bit. And this is one of Audrey's favorite tools that she just showed me today. It's a trimming tool that you can use to actually remove the skirt, which is nice. It's a nice two-in-one tool. So this is a very cool tool. It's a trimmer, but you can use it like this to clean up the skirt, come right in, separate it out, Clean that right off. Let's clean up that edge a little bit. No, this edge. No. All right. Well, so after we clean that off, another great tool, saves time, especially for those of us who don't like trimming feet. This is great for production work. If we're making mugs, if we want a little bit of entry on the bottom without the effort of trimming the foot ring, we have this squiggle wire. So when we wire off our pot, we use the squiggle wire, and it creates a nice texture on the bottom as well. So I'm going to let that dry a little bit, but this got a little bit gnarly, but you can see it creates a nice texture on the bottom, especially when you let it dry fully. So I know a lot of potters who don't like trimming feet, who want to throw very efficiently and keep it. It's a very popular tool.
You can even do like different patterns with it on
Yeah.
the bottom. Yeah, you zigzag it or
Absolutely.
move it differently.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do with that. Never doubt the ingenuity of potters. Okay. All right, next we're going to do the bull's tongue, another favorite from Audrey. So this is a great way, especially for those of us with some physical limitations, to throw beautiful bowls. It's a great way to prevent the beginner's bump from forming. You can use this for digging your well, pulling the walls. You can use it for everything. I like it a lot more for forming the walls and creating a nice interior. I also know it's used a lot in some more traditional production work. I've seen plenty of videos online of Japanese potters using the bull's tongue to create very nice lower effort bowls. Does anyone here use a bull's tongue? All right. Well, then I'm excited to show you all. After we cone and center, like I said, you can use this to open up your piece and create bowls.
Sorry, is it like the stick thingy with the ball in the other end?
Kind of like this. No? Okay. Yeah, shoehorn, bull's tongue. So this likes to have lots of water when we're using a tool with a lot of surface area, more surface area, more friction. We like to apply a lot of water to compensate for that. So I'm just digging straight down. This is nice because you don't have to use your wrist, you don't have to flex, strain your wrist at all. Some people actually, especially when they're sitting, like bracing it against their chest. They can use their body weight to come down.
What is it made of?
That is a great question.
Metal, wood, plastic?
Yeah, it's a plastic.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of flex that you can get in it, which is nice. I'm sure they're made out of wood as well. So you can dig down. And something I've noticed when watching Audrey work is she likes to create that end cut on her center as well. I think that helps with the minimal effort pulling the walls up. All right. So now that we've created our well at the interior, we can use this as our interior fingers. Instead of pulling like that, we can actually just compress against it. And we can create a nice, easy bowl shape. Everyone see all right?
The bucket.
Yeah, the bucket.
You had a lower bucket somehow. Shorter bucket.
Put it over here. All right.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
There we go. Oh, it's clay. All right.
Thanks for asking.
Of course.
And Jay is videoing this, right? So this will go out somewhere in the future.
Awesome. I feel like I have so many people to give a shout out to. Thank you. And after this, I'll be performing at the Comedy Cellar next door, so you can all stop by.
Is that true?
Do you normally throw standing up?
Only when I'm teaching.
Okay.
Yeah. My residency space is right behind you. So I'm studying for that. Actually, that's not true. If I'm making a lot of small forms, I like the physical constraints that a standing wheel gives you. I have a little bit less easy range of motion, so I find it can help in getting a nice, clean, repetitious form. Speaking of, if we're throwing a form and we love it, and we want to throw it again, there's many different tools that we potters have. This throwing gauge is a really awesome one of them. So they're pretty easy to set up. We've got these two adjustable knobs. You can use them, especially if there's a, we've all used it. I use a Tombow plenty, but if you've got a more interesting feature, it's nice to have these two adjustable pointers, so we can kind of really dial that in. And if we're really happy with the form and we want to keep repeating it, this is a great way to do it. I've just called it a throwing gauge. Does anyone have a more proper name for it?
I think that's what it's called.
All right, the throwing gauge. Yeah, so they're really awesome when you're doing production work. You can do simple measurements if you're just looking at rim width or height, but for more complex forms that can get really tricky to get that perfect repetition. This is nice, it's heavy duty, it's not going to knock over easily, and you can always just loosen it a bit, adjust the arm, and then bring that back down. The points are also adjustable, so we can change the direction, tighten with the screwdriver. So it's really useful. Okay, what else do we have to show? Okay, so when I am teaching a beginner's class, they love this tool like no other. I find it pretty useful too, but let's say we're throwing and we get some wonk or we run into an issue with our rim. Oh no! I find my students have a really low success rate or really low confidence in using the classic needle to turn it off. So we have this wonderful horseshoe trimmer. It's a very simple tool. It's a thin wire connected by a bent U-shaped piece of metal. And it makes taking a rim off a lot less terrifying. So we just go straight down and then we lift it up. So we go, it comes right off. Let me do better. I find students have a lot easier time. It's easier to hold, less risk or less fear of poking yourself with the needle tool. So I have a lot of students, especially in my intro classes, who adore them. Let's see. Oh, this is a very cool tool, especially for small forms like T-bowls. I love this shape. It's just a simple medallion wooden rib, but it's really nice for getting beautiful circular interiors. There is no wrong way to hold it, because it's a nice simple circle. I find when we have these complex shapes, especially for novice potters, they don't know how to hold it, and having all these different surface areas, which sometimes I love, can be a little bit overwhelming. Like I said, for a tea bowl, something small like that, it's really nice. You can get that very consistent curve, which also helps for production work. You don't need to throw and hope that you're getting that same angle change. So we use that just like any rib, where we're tracing the form from the inside, lifting that up. You can bring it back down as well, and it's awesome. Okay. Last one we can demonstrate, which we can also do on some leather hard clay as well, is going to be the slip trailer. This is from Shim. It comes with a whole bunch of different gauge points, kind of the needle tip. So this is great for creating line work. You can use this for slips, for underglazes. If I want something very kind of more natural, a little more running, it's great to apply it on the wheel. We can even spin that and try to get that a little more extreme. We can take one of our ribs or a finger, apply a little bit of movement on there, and create some nice intrigue. It kind of gives that agate wear, the nericome, neriage effect. Yeah, slip trailer. So you can use this for, anything you want. I do find that passing it through a sieve can help, especially if you're using higher draw clay, but it helps it flow a little bit more smoothly. All right, I think that is it for fresh clay. Let's move on to some leather hard clay. Any questions so far? You guys are very attentive.
Do you have any tips for filling the slip trailer? Seems like a pretty narrow opening.
Yeah, great question. So this whole mechanism comes clean off. So the way I do this is I have my slip right here. I'm going to scoop it out. You put the mouth under the surface of the slip while holding pressure. Lift it right up. Your goal is to get to about 90% fill. And that's good to go. Like I said, there are a whole bunch of different... Thank you. This, for me, is that spot in between the couch. Things go there, and they are gone forever.
Hey Nate, if you take your slip and when you're sieving it, before you get it thinned down, add a little Garvon to it, thin it down without making it watery, and
Nice.
it'll flow much better.
Yeah.
What is Garvon?
Thank you, Edge. All right, let's try adding a little bit of movement when we're wiring this off.
Yeah, it makes it more wet than it is. It makes it think it's more wet than it is.
All right, so this is what it looks like. Hopefully that's good. Yeah, wonderful. So that's a great way to add a lot of kind of unique design to a pot. And you can see that takes only seconds.
What motion did you use? I missed that. When you made the little wiggle?
Oh, yeah. So what I did is I used this squiggle wire, pressed it down, and I kind of swiped it side to side. Of course. Okay. So our next batch is going to be the ever-loved foam top trimming bat. So this has a really nice, thick, pretty firm foam. I'm sorry?
I said firm's good.
Yes. Yeah.
Mine, my homemade ones.
I've used a homemade one a lot. This one's really nice. Let's see what we have. So I find these are great for lower and wider pieces that have a little bit of a lower center of gravity. I wouldn't use this for something like a bottleneck base. But it's great because then we don't have to worry about putting brush lugs and either deforming our delicate rim or having to clean up extra clay from the exterior. So let's see what we have. We've got a few tools over here. So this is a newer brand whose name I'm forgetting, but they have these really, really awesome, they're kind of thick depth, but they're very thin. So as we're using them and wearing them down, they stay sharp. So I really like these. They also have some very large trimming tools, which are great for larger vessels. This is, I believe, the smallest one they carry. They're really nice to hold. They're full metal, and I believe they're pretty inexpensive. So I'm going to do a light trim on this pot. And then I'm going to use one of our fluting tools. We just spent so long wiping down this floor. Personally, I love trimming. I find it so meditative. I just get lost in trimming. I know some. I'm sorry.
It's very satisfying.
Yeah. I'm sure many of you feel the same way, but when I'm teaching, I tell my students, when we're throwing, we're creating interiors, and when we're trimming, we're creating exteriors. And you know, when we're creating that interior, we're creating the potential, but this is kind of, we're digging it out with clay. We're getting to show the true form of the pot. So for this one, I used the wiggle wire. And so we can see we get that unique textured foot. So you don't need to trim that. I took this off while it was still very green because I wanted to make sure it was ready to trim for y'all today. Another nice thing about this foam bat is it has those concentric rings, so it's a little bit easier for us to find that center again. Does anyone here tap center? I've tried. It's not for me. I really just need to spend some more time in
Will the
practice.
pot slide on that foam if you needed to tap it?
Let's see. I don't think it will as well. Clearly I don't do this, but if you did, it would look a lot better. So yeah, I'm assuming you could use this to tap center. All right, so after we've trimmed, this one's nice. It's, you know, a pretty standard trimmer. We have some angle, rounded surface, and then a full round. So it's nice and versatile. After we're trimmed and we're happy with our pot, I'm going to go ahead and use our fluting tool. Here it is. All right, there we go. So what I see most commonly is that people use these for a vertical cut. So you can pre-mark your piece so you get even distances between, but it's really nice. It slides up. It creates really nice clean lines. And this has two sides, so we've got a thicker side and a thinner side.
Can you talk about the angle you're going at with that? I've tried to use that many times and I always don't do it.
Huh. Yeah, so I'm coming at a pretty extreme angle. The blade certainly isn't going to be perpendicular to the surface, but as we can see, hopefully, it comes down and it's kind of rounded. So I'm really going to follow, I'm going to trace along. Let's see, what's a good angle? It's probably about 15, 20 degrees off the surface. And you can use these obviously for a lot more than just these clean linear marks. I've seen people use them to kind of create a scale-like pattern. So we're not going to follow that all the way up. We're just going to tilt and remove. And so we're creating these little marks. Then I can go in between them and fill it in this way. And that can create a really, really nice surface, especially for glazes that break. We can get these deep pockets with the bone showing through. I love using glazes that let the bone show.
I have one like that. I don't know if like it would be good to show how it looks.
Yeah, that'd be
after
great.
glazed. Because I did some marking with that one, and then like he said, like the glaze just breaks over the carving, and it's very, I don't know, it looks nice.
Now, were you turning when you did, were you turning the wheel when you did that?
No, I had it on thing, like a foam thingy, and then I was always like leaning my pinky when I was cutting it, and then I was just doing like sideways motions.
Very cool. Thank you for showing that. Yeah, so there's plenty you can do. It's a really nice, easy to hold tool. You know, I've made similar marks with trimming tools, but this one feels like I have a lot more control. Oh, now that I've carved it, we've got some unique shattering tools. So this one's kind of got that snake tongue profile. So it'll create kind of a different texture in the chatter in comparison to a more flat or curved. This will work better when it's a little bit more leather hard, but when we're holding chattering tools, we want that movement, so we don't want to hold close up like we would with the trimming tool. So I like to hold it back, get a lot of bounce in there. When this is a little bit drier, you'll get more subtle marking. But again, it's a nice, easy way to create texture. You'll get a little bit more kind of vertical variation rather than just clean horizontal lines when it's a little bit more leather hard. And last, for those of us who hate pulling handles, we've got some hand tools that will help you get a hang. So you take a nice slab of fresh clay. You don't want it to be too soft, but it should still be very plastic. And so we've got two different tools. This is going to be a static Kemper. So this creates a nice oval shape. This one has a little bit more variety. So we can see this kind of creates that M or W shape. And it's got a little tab of extra metal that will help it come out. So we're just going to drag this across fresh clay. You're going to see it's kind of stuck in this pocket, so we can peel that back if the clay is fresh enough or at the right level of plasticity. You can really just pop it out nice and easy. You know, a lot less effort than pulling a handle. So you can attach this fresh. You can let it firm up after shaping it a little bit, and it will be really nice and easy to attach. And for a more simplistic form, we do the same thing. This one has to come with me. So this is a little bit more the classic shape, that simple oval. I like to rub it down with a little bit of water first, then you can bend it into shape and apply it, or let it dry in its form and apply it later. All right, I think those are all the tools. Anyone have any questions about anything? And all of these these are available, and Ceramica is wonderful. Shop up front.
Just hand me your cash as we go out.
Yeah, we do cash, card, check, firstborn, secondborn limbs, whatever works. Thank you so much.
Last copies and
Oh, question about the phone thingy. Does it come attached to the bag?
It does,
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, it's one system. It's attached very well. Really easy to use. Really easy to clean.
Are there different
Are there
different
Right.
sizes? Like a bigger one?
This is, I think that's probably 14-inch. As far as I know, this is the only size we carry. But this will fit on any size wheel head. And I think it's just one thickness. These can get washed in the sink, nice and easy. We let it air dry and it's good to go.
And I guess you can also like, I mean, if it's foam, you can wet it and then use it to clean the bottom of your stuff.
Oh, that's a great idea. I never thought of that. I like that.
So that you don't have to.
You wet it and rub it, right? She was just describing.
Yeah.
Let's see, they wet it. So you wet it. No, tell them again how you do that.
Oh yeah, I have one, but I think it's the seam one, but that one is annoying because I had to attach it to a wooden bag, and the bag works with water. So every time that I have to be, like that is much easier because it's plastic, right?
Mhm.
So you can like actually rinse that in the,
Yeah.
but if you wet it, you can put it on the wheel, and then you just basically like lower your piece onto the thing, and then you can get like really clean bottom.
All right, thank you again.
All right, thank you.